And this is going to be the first rural center for worship for the Baha'i community. So very significant, and very significant that it's located in a site of Jain, Buddhist, Hindu, Sikh place of learning near Nalanda. And how that very ordinary brick can become a connection to something that is extraordinary. And that was the line of exploration. And it went on from here in more architectural sense, in trying to keep it simple and very human, because you're building in a place which is very poor in material sense and so rich in its historical legacy, that how do you marry this together? How do you not have people resisting the act of taking over a place of worship as their own? This is closer to home. I come from Kumaon, and I wrote my thesis in a site which is beautiful, historic. Of course, you love the things that you have inherited culturally. But the reality is, I live in a town that looks like that. Of course, this is from the tourism website, and they seem to find it beautiful. But I live there, and I know that it's a terrible place. Like Korea said about Bombay, right? Great city, terrible place. Almora is built to the brink. And a few years after I graduated, I realized, look, we don't need to build another building. Like, there is a lot to do, but literally another second home or a third home or a resort or something is not what is needed in Almora. But also being very conscious constantly that this is the reality. And you've seen the reality now with Nainital, Simla, Mussoorie, crumbling down in the, so this is alarming. And this, I'm talking about now, about 7-8 years ago, we were approached for one more house. Of course, wonderful clients, people who would build with wood and stone and invested in creative and cultural things. But the constant remembrance that ek aur ghar nahi chahiye yahan pe. The biggest service we can do to the mountains is to not build on them. Sometimes you realize as architects, we are so gifted with the number of things we are taught in our college and as training. So we can draw, we can speak, we can document, we can talk to people in different languages, we can express ourselves in so many languages. And we said, this is the time to test that. What else does the place need? Of course, we need to build. But do they need us to build? There's 1.5 years to restore this single-room maternity center in the village of Panya, trying to do all of these little things to make it livable for women who are delivering babies. And it was a terrible situation before that. All of that comes together for it to look decent, dignified, respectable, and a little touch of color and home. And the best compliment is that the women came in, there was a ribbon cutting and all of that. And they said, "Ye to bilkul aspatal nahi lagta hai." And I think that's amazing, because this is a rescue. It's not a sink ki paisa nahi milta hai. These are ways we rescue ourselves from what we do. There is these small things that we do. Of course, they don't pay, but that's not the question. We also do them because we know we are doing a lot of harm. For 70 years, some of the richest places on earth had some of the poorest people and the worst schools, which are now getting built. So we built a school, and I tell my younger architects that we built a school. And they painted it neon green. That's their party color or whatever, but they're doing it green also because this is where this is. You are locating these sites in an absolute dystopia, in mining landscapes which have no chance of joy, magic, beauty, whatever you may say. This is a rescue operation that communities do to also survive this. Hi, good morning, and thank you for having me here. This is in some ways a continuation of my talk in Jodhpur. Some of us met there. It got me thinking about many things, and also as midlife has it, I'm more interested in now, I think, as a person and also as a professional, more interested in why we do things, why and how we do things together. Than actually the final product. So the process of doing a practice as a verb, practice as an action, as abhyas every day, I'm very interested in that and trying to make sense of that in the world today. So today's short talk is about our work and how we use our work to make sense of the world, how we use that as a coping mechanism, as a play, minimize in some ways the damage that we all understand architects can do, as mediocre or bad design can do, or even buildings can do to the environment. I think we understand that implicitly, and therefore a lot of what we try to do is to minimize the harm. A lot of architects work and teach, and they engage with students, and this sense of wanting to give back, the sense of building a community, I think all comes from a fundamental understanding that our work can be very destructive in many ways. So we are trying to minimize, and then we are also, of course, trying to create some moments of joy and beauty, which is also a thing that I'm more and more interested in as I grow old, of how do we actually capture those few moments. So the title of the talk, which is actually going to, I think, continue for this whole year, I'm going to think about this and take it to the next talk as well, is about being here and about being here now, an act of making sense of the world that we inhabit. And this idea of being here, of belonging, is more of an earlier idea of being either inhabiting the past or being very much in the future. And being in that sense more ideological. I think that's how we were as young architects, trying to be somewhere, but not here. And now more and more, my understanding as a person, as a professional, is about now, is about what's going on here, what's going on with me. I think a lot of it is also about having a family, having children, being a woman, and trying to understand this reality. So from being more ideological, I think a lot of my energy now is about thinking about the present and being present, which is so hard because in some ways architecture, we took to it as an escape, as a coping mechanism to, and architecture is such a wonderful escape. We are, look at the places we get to travel, the kind of people we get to meet. It's literally an escape. And how not to do that, to keep training ourselves, to keep coming back here now in the world that we inhabit. So I have a few stories. I will also dwell on some built, unbuilt projects, but in basically trying to think through this idea more in detail. So just before the pandemic, we found ourselves in Bihar. This is in a village near Nalanda, and those are the ruins of Nalanda. You're all familiar. We found ourselves building in a context which belongs to many places and many times. Look at this, the ruins of Nalanda existing for so many hundred years, and many other very, very iconic ways of building with brick. This is Vaishali, the Buddhist pilgrimage center, the center for a lot of thinking that it gave to the world. And we're trying to find a way to build in this place for a community that believes in many other things, which was new to us. This is for the Baha'i community, and trying to think about the place, the time, and also about ideas of beauty and joy, which Baha'u'llah encompasses in his writing. And he talks about building with extraordinary, building with light. How do you capture this sense? So there is, of course, a more abstract, conceptual, mystical idea which is far above, but there is also the ideas that we see around us in our everyday lives, the three of us as partners, so deeply connected to patterns in nature. One of this is, of course, by a famous artist, but a lot of others are also pieces of art from nature, extraction of peacock feathers, which finds itself in Madhubani paintings in so many ways. So we are surrounded by extraordinary beauty. Of course, Raza's paintings are there, but also just beauty as fractals, as geometry in nature, around us, which is so inspiring if we change the lens with which we view the world. So if we zoom in, there is something, you zoom out, there's something, and communities around are celebrating them in their daily practices in the Madhubani art. How do we situate a design, a building, a new thing in that place and time? This is the new Baha'i house of worship in Bihar Sharif, which is the second now after the Lotus Temple in New Delhi. The Lotus Temple is, of course, a continental and an urban center for worship, and this is going to be the first rural center for worship for the Baha'i community. So very significant, and very significant that it's located in a site of Jain, Buddhist, Hindu, Sikh place of learning in near Nalanda, and how that very ordinary brick can become a connection to something that is extraordinary. And that was the line of exploration. And it went on from here in more architectural sense, in trying to keep it simple and very human, because you're building in a place which is very poor in material sense and so rich in its historical legacy, that how do you marry this together? How do you not have people resisting the act of taking over a place of worship as their own in a place by architects who don't belong here? So we are constantly also parachuting in new places and finding our ways into communities that are not our own. So we are also trying to take root like trees, you know, we are trying to build a place for ourselves. These are the meditations that are now finally breaking ground in Bihar Sharif today. But the idea is the same. The idea is to talk about what are we building with now, not just as extraordinary monumental works in Nalanda, but the ordinary architecture in Bihar. It happens to be also a place where one of the partner belongs, and we realize ordinary people building with this wonderful topsoil of this geographical region, you know. So it's a way to think through these ideas of where we belong, and then the building goes many steps further, where local artists actually take it over. And these are Madhubani artists from the Baha'i community celebrating the building and presenting it back to us. So really like a circle, you know. So many of them, so we get these postcards. But the circle is actually a bit elliptical, it's a spiral, it goes on, because some years before we designed the house of worship, we were already trying to translate our buildings through the eyes of artists, and in fact a Madhubani artist, and trying to translate them into something else and making calendars. And the calendar is also a way for us to reach to our friends like you, for us to make sense of our work after it's built. So we do it every year, and this year it was to work with an artist who was Madhubani artist, and he sat and he learnt about the work, he saw it, and then he made these interpretations of it in his own language. And now to have our building being done by local artists is really quite a circle. So what I mean is we inhabit buildings and our projects in so many ways. We cherish them so much after they have been built, or in different ways even before they have been built. In one of the, I think it was in Jodhpur, when I talked about Ashoka University, which we have designed, and its iconic jali, which is now being worn by the students in their robes, and it's in their, you know, stationery, and it's wonderful because the patterns that you've designed in your office 10 years ago are in a way being consumed, you know, so it's so intimate that a big thing can become so small and then you can wear it, etc. So a calendar was like that, and then we're trying to find ways in which you can flat pack a small calendar with a nut and bolt, it can prop up. And that idea of making is very important for us, but it's also very fun. Like, what can we do in 100 rupees, which can go to lots of our friends every year, and can it be flat packed? On the other hand, sometimes we are flat packing buildings itself. So this is a building which is really wonderful because it didn't stand in one place. This is the Bonjour India Pavilion, which we did for the French Cultural Center, and it traveled to many cities. The brief began by the client asking for a museum or an exhibition actually, that we'll go to one big museum in Delhi and we'll put up an exhibition about Indo-French historic relationship and friendship, and we'll celebrate this joint culture. And we said that's all very well, but people don't really go to the museum. You want to talk to young people, you want to talk to people who want to go study in France, they go shopping in France, it's such a destination for honeymooners. They are not going to the museum, so who are you building this exhibition for? Can we build an exhibition and take it to people where the people are? So this, very much like that calendar, was designed as a building that can be flat packed and put into a container and can move from Delhi to Calcutta to Bombay. It can prop up in places where we would never imagine having a building to be built, like the Cross Maidan or the India Gate lawns. You would never really build something there. But to have an opportunity to momentarily occupy that place, and people who are coming for the book fair say, oh, what is that interesting building? Let's go see. And they also extend their Sunday picnic into an exhibition, which is really how education and museum going experience should be. So this kind of a mobile building was also a response to what can we do which is available to us, cheap, ready, but also unique. And in Delhi, which is beyond all of it, we never see it as a city of craft, but Delhi is such a major manufacturing hub. We are making hundreds of things by our hand as one of the biggest manufacturing markets in Asia. We're assembling, we're actually processing, but we never see it as in an artistic sense. So our idea was that this building should probably be woven, and of course steel is symbolic of the relations. There was a lot of other kind of, ideological investment into having a steel building by the clients, but to weave it like a mesh, like a sari, and to do it in a workshop with hand, to do it to custom design and prop it up as a building and then pack it in half a day and take it to another city, was something that came as a response to those two pictures. That's National Gallery of Modern Art, Khali hai, or Bahar Lawns mein log hain. And how does this, so what is the point of having another exhibition inside the gated complex? Why not have a pavilion in the park? So I feel it's, like a mobile serpentine pavilion. If we were in London, I think it would be more noticed building, but now it's gone, it's lying it's kind of scrapped in a workshop. But the idea that one can do things which can move and kind of create a different sense of a museum. Of course, very important to have a client who can communicate and respond to a desire like that. So for a client to say, okay, we are not going to have a fixed exhibition, we will move, we will take all the pains in the world to get permissions to be in these interesting places, and also the risk to be able to do that, but the adventure, So I think in all of this, the idea is to continue challenging and finding ways to have more fun beyond all of it, and to find more joy. So this is, again, now the building is built, and then the calendar made by an artist. So it's all kind of ways of building and thinking about the work that we do collectively. This is closer to home. I come from Kumaon, and I wrote my thesis in a site which is beautiful, historic. Of course, you love the things that you have inherited culturally. So many of us want to have thesis sites which also have a strong context. That's what we say, right, in the studio. I had one of those. But the reality is, I live in a town that looks like that. Of course, this is from the tourism website, and they seem to find it beautiful. But I live there, and I know that it's a terrible place. Like Korea said about Bombay, right? Great city, terrible place. Almora is built to the brink. And a few years after I graduated, I realized, look, we don't need to build another building. Like, there is a lot to do, but literally another second home or a third home or a resort or something is not what is needed in Almora. What do? We are a small practice building those kinds of homes in the beginning, also going back to the mountains as a way to get inspiration, a way to learn, a way to build with stone and wood, for example, but also being very conscious constantly that this is the reality. And you've seen the reality now with Nainital, Shimla, Mussoorie crumbling down in the, so this is alarming. And this I'm talking about now, about 7-8 years ago. we were approached for one more house. Of course, wonderful clients, people who would build with wood and stone and invested in creative and cultural things. But the constant remembrance that एक और घर नहीं चाहिए यहाँ पे. The biggest service we can do to the mountains is to not build on them. How do we negotiate these two contradictions in a practice that needs to work? So this was the last house that we built in Kumaon, at least for now. Never say never, but at least for now. In 2016, I think we finished this, a cottage for Colonel Pant and his family. Wonderful combination of building what we said, modern and all of that, but also in some ways a finality for us as a practice saying, iske baad, we need to find other ways to engage with the place we love and with building traditions. And what can we do? And you know, when you look at what you can do, sometimes you realize as architects we are so gifted with the number of things we are taught in our college and as training. So we can draw, we can speak, we can document, we can talk to people, we can talk to people in different languages, we can express ourselves in so many languages. And we said, this is the time to test that. What else does the place need? Of course, we need to build, but do they need us to build? And then we started moving into other kinds of things in Kumaon, building homestays in houses where people have moved out. So there's a lot of migration. One of the highest rates in the country comes from Almora district, where people are just, there's a massive exodus from the towns, leaving behind homes, leaving behind old parents, no source of income. So how do you revive something like that with your expertise? And is to work with them. And then we realized that there's a whole ecosystem which is dying. It's not just the houses. There's no wood. There are therefore also not many wood craftsmen. And there is no need for people to also invest in that kind of design anymore. So when we started getting involved in this, we realized it's the ecosystem that can actually be a very important place for us to contribute to learn from without having to actively build a new building. So lots of workshops, lots of working with communities to insert one room here and one room there and build prototypes and to do it with students, because then we realize you don't need such high levels of technical intelligence that we keep building. Kuch Revit, kuch nahi chahiye. AI bhi nahi. You just need to have your time and your hands. You need to sit down and do it, which is really, in early years of your practice, maybe you can afford it. So we started doing this. We said, we will plant trees. The reason we can't save the woodcraft is because there are no trees. There are no trees because the forests have been cut and nobody is interested in planting. So we said, okay, to hell with building. We know nothing about plantation, but can we get together with other people, NGOs, different villages, and learn how to plant? So we started getting into afforestation. And that little slide I put there because right now, where my office is in Vasant Kunj, which is also a fairly green, I have put like the interns that we have in our office to doing a tree mapping. So tree is also a constant recurring feature in our work, especially mine. And I put a lot of the interns to task saying, agar chutti hai, weekend hai, 6 baje kaam khatam hai, go and map trees in Vasant Kunj. So they have taken over our neighborhood. And the 10 of them are going and actually documenting, because urban trees is a huge problem again. So while we say we love trees, we celebrate nature, gir rahe hain ped. They are concretized, they are overlooked, they are coming in the way of parking. So these guys are making a big inventory and mapping of trees in Sina in Vasant Kunj, which we will then work with the forest department to see what we can do. So the idea is, सारे आपके पास documentation tools हैं, बस पेड़ को नहीं किया था documentation, नाम नहीं आते हैं, but that we can help with. So we bring in experts from Delhi. There are so many people working on urban trees, and we work with the students. They are interns now, and we do this kind of work. So the idea is to keep doing it also. I realize now, looking back, what Manish ji says very important, gestation period jo hai, you can set things in motion and you can keep revisiting them. They become patterns. They become ways in which you see yourself, the way you do things. So it comes in again, the Madhubani calendar comes back. He interprets our work in this way. So it's this wonderful mishmash of building and not building and trying not to build. This is a documentation from that same work which continued in documenting the crafts of Kumaon. the likhai craft. But it went on to also other kinds of patterns, like Epan, which is the local Kumaoni rangoli, you can say, with geru and the paste of rice. And documenting this, at that time we didn't know why, but over COVID we were called in by friends now who we've been planting with, saying there are maternity centers with no roof, with hardly a room, with no windows. So in the COVID, we ran this, so-called project, I will say, because these things don't pay you, but they are still projects, they need and demand your resources. And we had this 1.5 years to restore this single-room maternity center in the village of Panya, trying to do all of these little things to make it livable for women who are delivering babies. And it was a terrible situation before that. All of that comes together for it to look decent, dignified, respectable, and a little touch of color and home. And the best compliment is that the women came in, there was a ribbon cutting and all of that, and they said, "Ye to bilkul अस्पताल नहीं लगता है." And I think that's amazing because they feel, and we just had last month, the first baby was delivered here. So we are all very proud. We almost feel like, parents of this child. There is these small things that we do. Of course, they don't pay, but that's not the question. We also do them because we know we are doing a lot of harm. And doing less of that, minimizing that, trying to build friendships, trying to build communities like what you all are doing now, is a way to offset, that net zero jo kar rahe, wo intangible mein bhi hai. We do so much construction. There is absolutely no way to justify it till we are able to diversify into other ways of also legitimizing our own work. So this is a rescue. It's not a sink ki paisa nahi milta hai. These are ways we rescue ourselves from what we do. You can see some of this. So now this is what we do in Kumaon. We don't build houses. Of course, now it is what we said yesterday, a luxury. We don't need to build second homes and third homes as a practice. Many practices do. It's not a judgment, but it's just that you can chart that path slowly. It took a long time, but now this is what we say we do. These are our old built projects. You can see the language, but we can do other things with you. And that's really a joy. Of course, all projects don't become like that maternity center with a great before and after. There are some, like this one in Odisha, which start off like that. That was a school. We said, okay, we will come in like good tailors, cut less, make insertions, turn this around with less. We said, we'll do this. And then this is what comes out. And oh my God, my architects were like, हम तो प्रैक्टिस ही छोड़ देंगे मैम, ऐसा करेंगे, हमने 100 ड्राइंग बनाई और देखो सब कुछ हरा निकल के आ रहा है. Now the thing here is, of course, this being present is also in some ways a meditation, right? It's a way to locate yourself and your work in a context where first there were no schools. For 70 years, some of the richest places on earth had some of the poorest people and the worst schools, which are now getting built. So we built a school, and I tell my younger architects that we built a school, and they painted it neon green. That's their party color or whatever, but they're doing it green also because this is where this is. You are locating these sites in an absolute dystopia, in mining landscapes which have no chance of joy, magic, beauty, whatever you may say. This is a rescue operation that communities do to also survive this. We have to make sense of it. It's not that मैंने तो mustard बोला था उसने green कर दिया. But the green is both a cultural heritage. There are colors, of course, that are very local to that place, but also that place needs to have so much more to be able to live through this. Now, my point here is not that extraction is bad and dystopic, because we are extracting in so many other metaphoric ways as well. We are, of course, using the colors. This is just from the neighborhood around. It's a picture of their walls. Yeah, this is how they build. The thing is, we are constantly also extracting from communities, from past, and we are trying to make sense of what we have to do here. And of course, wonderful photos of field work, we all have it when we meet people who are living differently from us. But this is also photograph of a power equation which is so lopsided. There is absolutely no sense of an equal transaction here. We come in, we fly in from New Delhi, we drive down, we pick up all the wonderful things, and then we make what we make out of it, and here I am presenting them to you. That is also ways in which we extract knowledge. We process them, and then we present them in ways that have nothing to do with this guy, right? That map yesterday of per capita carbon footprint versus national power footprint is not just a kind of, ironic joke or something that politicians, of course, use, but it's also a story of how the poor subsidize us all the time. If you were to make a map like that without national boundaries of per capita consumption of rich people in India versus people in Atlanta, I dare say there will be very much of a difference, because we who have consume like there is literally no tomorrow. So the comparison should not, national boundaries are so deceptive. And they're imaginary. They don't really mean anything except ideological things. But if you were to compare how poor people consume around the world, whether they live on the streets of New York and they live in Jharsuguda here, it doesn't matter. The footprint is the same, and they are subsidizing your net zero. It's not country versus country. So we have absolutely no reason to feel proud that our footprint is so low, because our footprint is absolutely not low. It's of some other people, right? And their subsidy is helping us make sense and make beauty and do all of this, for which we just, not just feel grateful, but also to just look at it, pause, and see how is it that more human connections can be built, not just buildings. So there is a way in which, and then there is a question also of beauty. It's not just in the old man's hut, which is painted beautifully. Odisha is also a site of massive innovation, of science and technology. We're building big stuff. I'm personally have been working in something called industrial heritage for 20 years. So I'm also I'm a little bit of a geek about big stuff, like big machines. But from the point of view of human genius, we built this stuff together. This is Revati's temple, built from fly ash in Odisha, which is also a genius, but it's also an industrial landscape. She had built a lot of stuff in the area for the mining companies. That is also a past that we refer to. And how do we take that forward and intervene in a technological landscape? Because हम जो heritage देखते हैं, सिर्फ beautiful heritage देखते हैं. There's a lot of other ways in which we have been building, which need a response. And also, because we build, we waste. These are massive mountains of steel dust. I'll tell you why it's important in the last slide, but this is currently where we are building. We build in stone quarries. In Barmer, we've done a temple with stone, but again, heavily extractivist landscape. We make what is called now ecological landscape scars. We make scars, and we are never able to fill them, and then we don't know what to do. So this is what we are leaving behind, and this just remains constantly at the back of our minds, saying it's fine if we can build another great temple here, but then what? This is really the current moment. Then when we had a chance to build several things in that industrial landscape, that question comes back about who will benefit, who will do what, how will you distribute this immense amount of power that you have as an architect to do whatever you want. Now at this stage, a lot of clients come to you because they trust you with your judgment or aesthetics or whatever, and they say, ऑफिस बनाना है पर आप देख लीजिए कैसे करना है, बिल्डिंग टेम्पल बनाना है आप देख लीजिए कैसे करना है. That immense sense of responsibility is also a call for you to distribute your power in some measurable ways to people who need to have it. And this is JSPL, this is a mining company's corporate office in Raipur, and this is a story of working with old friends. This is Chandrakali and her family. We worked with her in 2012. She came to Delhi to paint a small building for us. And the here and now here was that in pandemic, when artists were really starving, as were the architects, we needed a way to kind of come together. And we said, we're building an office, it's a great project, we're earning money. How do we rescue other people with us? You know, can Chandrakali come in, rescue a boring corporate office in some ways, but also we have a chance to help her family through. So it wasn't some grand idea really of craft as such. Of course it was, but design, as you know, is about making many ends meet at the same time and not just one. So she came in with her family and painted this massive mural which her team and our team developed together. The idea is also to bring that indigenous way of painting into a corporate setup to juxtapose these supposed opposites, you know, the tribal people and the corporates, the mining company and the artists. I mean, these lovely opposites that we love to always pit opposite to each other, which they are not. How can we make that a little bit more blurry? So she came in and painted this wonderful, massive ceiling onto this, under which now this fairly boring corporate office operates. It's a rescue for us too in pandemic times. So it looks like this, and a reminder in some ways when you look up, you know, that there is stuff that you can do without, I mean, and these are not heavily costed, expensive projects, not at all. We still have to build it in good time, we have to build it in great budgets, etc. But just the idea that wherever you have that space, Shubhra came up with that word in Jodhpur after seeing some, she said, you guys are so opportunistic. तुम बहुत हर चीज़ में वो क्या होता है चवन्नी में दो अठन्नी whatever that is called, वो तुम बड़े opportunity निकाल लेते हो. And I said, that's, I mean, I said I take it as a compliment. And then later she sent me a book by that title saying, read it because this is what you're doing. Nobody asked you to do it, but you're like, kahan pe, where is the wriggle space for me to note my protest and note my relief and rescue and the pandemic situation and the fact that we are all going through a mental health crisis into a place like that. And it becomes a reflection of the current situation we're dealing with. So this was Chandrakali in 2014, I think, and then that is her in Raipur. And what we did with the Delhi government, another free project. Again, free projects are wonderful only because you can explore some things and tell them कि यार अभी आप पैसे नहीं दे रहे तो at least let us experiment with these things. So these become like your practice. हाँ, practice होने के लिए एक lab होना है. You have to make mistakes, you have to mess up, you have to say यार ये तो ऐसा नहीं हुआ जैसा सोचा था. You need all of that. You will make mistakes. We continue to make them. You just need a place to do it. तो मुफ्त के project में पैसा नहीं मिल रहा है तो you should do that and experiment as much as you can on somebody else's money. I mean, rest of the time also we do that. The last slide is now bringing some of the steel dust in the flight and trying to see how we can develop paints with POP and with cement, using that waste in some ways to do, because now we're doing many buildings in industrial towns. What can we do to offset that? So there's always something of interest, and it's also a restlessness that we have as people. You all have it as architects also. एक चीज़ एक बार में नहीं करनी है, बहुत सारी चीज़ें करनी है, कुछ ख़त्म होती हैं, कुछ नहीं होती हैं. That quest has to continue, and you have to create your practice as a place that gives you that space. And then the meditation is to focus our minds to be present to it. कि अभी ये है, what can I do? What more can I do?